Are you a mid-level player looking to get started with bossing? The Moons of Peril are low commitment bosses that only require gear. You can assemble your food in pots before the bosses. Let's have a look at what you need to get started here. So for the quests, you are going to need Children of the Sun to unlock Valamor itself. Twilight's Promise will introduce you to the Valamor area, which will then lead into the Perilous Moon. The Perilous Moons quest is an introductory quest to the bosses. In terms of the stats, I recommend you have 60 plus in all strength, attack and defense. In terms of prayer, you don't require any overheads, but having party is useful, but I wouldn't be getting it to run the Moons of Peril. Getting there is fairly easy. You have a few options. The Calcified Moth is the fastest option. It'll teleport you directly to Camdorum. Otherwise, you can teleport to Civitas Illifortis, or you can use your Quetzal Whistle to the Hunter Guild. From there, you can take the Quetzal to Relos Rise and just pass the agility shortcut down the hill to get to Camdorum. If you have the Quetzal patch set up, you could just Quetzal straight to the gate of Camdorum. With the gear, we'll want to prioritize high protection, as the bosses will hit through prayer. Barra's gear works really well here because of the higher defenses. Else you can wear the next best gear you can afford or wear. You could wear just a Seer set, but I think you are better off saving for bandos. For the weapons, you're going to need a weapon of each attack style, that being stab, crush and slash. You can bring a weapon that covers multiple slots if you want, like the Zamiasta. Lastly, you'll need one hard-hitting weapon. Something like a Gourd Sword will do just fine. Otherwise, don't stress too much. Before you leave the bank, your gear and inventory should look something like this. Before the bosses, there will be a prep area where you'll make potions and food. There'll be a campfire there with boxes of supplies. You can get gear for herblore, fishing and hunter from these supply boxes. You can also restore your energy at the campfires. For your prep, I would recommend you bring 4 to 5 Moonlight Potions. These potions are a mix of prayer and combat potions. To make them, you'll want to take grubs off the grubby saplings. From there, you can grind them up with pestle and mortar and add them to vials of water to make a Moonlight Potion. For the rest of your inventory, fill it up with a food of your choice. Your two options are fish from a stream in one of the caverns or lizards near the trappable rocks in another cavern. To get the fish, simply cast out your net on the fishing spot. Then you can click upstream of the fishing spot to where the fish are going to get fish faster. The lizards are a little simpler. All you need to do is tie a rope between the sets of trappable rocks. You can then scare the lizards out of the bush and they'll be trapped in your ropes. Lizards make up to 3 pieces of food per lizard, so you don't need to get too many. Now moving on to the bosses. The bosses are unique as multiple players can attack the bosses, but each individual player will have their own boss health bar. Once you've burnt through your boss's health bar, you'll be teleported out of their room, where you can then continue on your run. The bosses will have a looping set of phases. These phases will go attack phase, mechanic phase 1, attack phase, mechanic phase 2. Since the bosses will be running continuously, you could be transported into any one of these phases. If a boss is in their attack phase, you'll need to stand in the glowing sun tile to take less damage. They will attack twice per glowing sun tile. Now let's have a look at the boss's mechanic phases. The Eclipse Moon boss is weak to stab weapons, so remember to switch to your stab weapon or switch combat styles. For this boss, you're going to want to bring a slow, hard-hitting weapon as well. This will be for one of the mechanic phases. If you are wearing Derek's armor, Derek's Great Axe is a good option. Otherwise, a Gourd Sword or Crystal Halberd are great options too. If you don't have a strong melee weapon, don't worry, just use your best stab weapon. There is an Orb phase and Clone phase for the Eclipse's mechanic phases. The Orb phase is rather simple. The boss will spawn an orb and you'll be pushed to the outer edge of it. All you need to do is follow along using the orb as cover from the boss's projectiles. The Clone phase is one of my favorite boss phases. You'll be pushed to the center of the room, where you'll have a couple of seconds to equip your hardest hitting weapon. The boss will then begin creating clones around you to attack you. Simply click under the boss and you will negate its attack and hit back yourself. You will hit as fast as they pop up, meaning you won't need to wait for the full attack speed of your weapon. The Blue Moon boss is weak to crush and has negative armor. This just means you will hit harder on this boss, so ideally multi-hit weapons work well here. Really the ones worth using are the dual Makwa Whittle. I wouldn't be rushing to the GE to get them. The two phases for this boss are a Storm phase and a Weapon Freeze phase. The Storm phase will have you pushed off center of the arena. The boss will then extinguish two braziers on the outside of the arena. You have two options: dodge the tornadoes and light the braziers by clicking on them, or just stand still and wait for the next phase. You will stop the boss from healing if you light the braziers, but either option is right. With the frozen weapon phase, your weapon will be sucked into a block of ice, which will then be highlighted by a glowing sun. Hit the ice block to get the weapon back. You will need to dodge some ice spikes that get revealed from the ground. Simply move off and you won't get damaged. For the Blood Moon boss, you want to switch to your best slash weapon. The Blood Moon can heal from their attacks, so you may struggle a little with this boss if you don't have enough defense. Barrow's armor should do just fine here, but you should be able to get through it with Rune or a Fighter Torso. This boss's two phases are Blood Rain phase and Jaguar phase. The Blood Rain phase is relatively straightforward. You will be pushed to a random spot in the arena. Afterwards, the boss will call down Blood Rain, which will cause pools of blood to spawn. Simply move off the tiles with blood on it, otherwise you'll take a small bit of damage and heal the boss. The Jaguar phase is a little more complicated, but achievable. The boss will spawn several Jaguars around the room and an inner circle of blood pools. One of the Jaguars will have a glowing sun tile in front of it and under it. This is the Jaguar you will want to attack. You will heal for a portion of damage you deal, but you'll need to dodge the Jaguar's attack and blood pool in front of it. It requires a little more timing, but with patience you can learn the pattern. Let's go gear up and I'll meet you where we're gonna start the run. Okay, we're all geared up and ready to go. Let's move over and get started on the northeast area. I marked the tile here to let me know where I should always start from. Just to let me know where I'm going, I also mark it down the tiles here as well. If you want to place a tile marker, just hit shift click and they'll say mark tile. And you just want to go up these stairs here to start the run. Before you get in there, grab some grubs over here. 4 to 5 will do. I usually get them in 2s anyway, so 6 is fine. From here, get herblore supplies, crush up those worms or grubs and put them into vials. Then get more herblore supplies and do the same thing. And finally do it once more. He might complain, but just click get herblore supplies again. I would just ditch one, you don't need 6. Remember to get a fishing net and then click over at the fishing point over here. And now just click upstream of where they're going to be going. See, this guy's going in the center, this one's going to the right, this one's going to the center, left. You get the idea. So then you just drop your net. Usually you need a spare space in case you have an item that's a two-handed anyway. You shouldn't need that much food. We're gonna make a cuppa so that we get our run energy back. And again, I've got a tile here to say go to the right to start. Make sure you've got your stab weapon on. So I've marked this boss as stab weapon. And you've got your attack style set to stab. Before we walk in, drink from your moonlight potion and then simply click on the statue. We're currently in a clone phase, so swap to your hard-hitting weapon. Turn on piety if you have it. We missed that phase, that doesn't matter. Remember to equip your shield if you took it off. You can also swap to your spec weapon if you'd like to spec the boss. Simply keep going onto the glowing suns as they move along. Now we've entered the orb phase, all you need to do is walk along with the orb. You should be fine to walk, you don't need to run. If you do lag behind, then just quickly run. If you'd like to walk when you're using Runelight, just control click. And then when you're at the corner, you can just quickly run over to where it says after orb. We might get to the clone phase again. Don't forget to turn your piety back on. If you forget to, don't worry. We might have the clone phase, which will give a good introduction to it. Looks like we will. Okay, leave your piety on for this phase. Equip your hard-hitting weapon. and just click under the boss, like so. As you can see, we're doing heaps of damage. This is one of the best phases for us. And then we've finished that phase and can move on to the next boss. You can have a cuppa here. If you'd like to, and you've used up too much food, or you've done another run, you can get the hunting supplies from over here, and then you can just rope up the rocks here. I've labeled this boss as Crush. Simply make sure you've got a Crush weapon on and have the Crush attack style clicked as well. As you walk up, remember to drink your potion and then click on the statue. Looks like we've entered in at the end of the tornado phase, so all we have to do is attack the boss. Remember to turn your party on. And remember to keep moving around onto the glowing suns. We're going to turn party off now and run over to the ice block. All we need to do is just jump off the tile. Whoops. Jump off the spikes. Don't misclick. You should be able to get 2 kicks in. And jump off. Keep on kicking it. Good. And turn on your party again. Start smacking the boss. We're not going to get a tornado phase by the looks of it, but that's good because it's a very slow phase. We're going to take this boss out quite handily. Okay. Remember to have a cuppa, and we're going to head this way, which I've labeled quite obviously. As you run over, switch to your slash weapon. I've labeled this tile to remind myself. And if your weapon has multiple attacks, remember to switch to the slash version of it too. As you walk up, remember to drink the moonlight potion and click on the statue. We're in the middle of the rain phase, so we're just going to make sure we move over off this rain and switch on our party to attack the boss. You can also use your spec weapon here. It's a good boss to do it on too. This boss does need to be burst down quite a lot usually because it does heal quite a bit. We're taking a fair bit of damage, but that's fine because the Jaguar phase does heal you a little bit. Now, as with the Jaguar spawn in, quickly go attack the one that you're assigned. As the sound ends, step away from the Jaguar. That's how I do it at least. Sound ends, move, attack. And I've healed quite a bit. It's worth keeping party on for this. And run over to after Tiger's phase. Jaguars. Whoops, this is wrong. We might get another rain phase, but that's fine. Remember to equip your shield. Looks like I forgot to equip it. We're just gonna get a rain phase by the looks of it. That's fine. So we're gonna have another look at how the rain phase works. Blood splots on the ground, and we're just gonna walk over to the after rain spot. Just make sure you move off if it does appear again. And one hit. Come on. There we go. Okay, so drink your cuppa again if you need. Then we're going to run over down to the south this time. Eat if you've taken too much damage. You can turn on your prayer here too, because these guys can sometimes hit you a little bit too much. And just loot the chest in the middle of the room. And that will be your run. And we got a piece. We got spooned again. Just bank your items, and then you can move on to the next run. So move forward, just head to the north. And that way you'll loop back around to where we started from. And you can get some more food if need be. And then you can move on and start another run. Alright, hopefully that helped you all. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, leave me a comment. Also check out my Twitch stream if you like my videos. Thank you again. See you another time.